Hey everybody, this is Leah Cook with Confident Companions. Something happened on our walk this morning that gave me a reason to have an open discussion about why I use e-collars in dog training. And I wanted to have this discussion with you because I know I've been posting a lot about e-collars lately, and I wanted to give you a little bit more information about why I think they are an essential tool in training dogs. So anyway, I have my notes here because I actually prefer doing or having these live videos because I feel like I'm talking to you, but when there's not someone in front of me, I feel like I kind of chase rabbit holes. So I'm hoping that these notes will keep me on track so that we don't go down those holes and off on these tangents, but we'll see. Okay, so anyway, while we were walking this morning, I let my husband walk Boaz a portion of the way. We were on the way back anyway, and because Boaz does so well now, I mean, he's almost 10 years old, he knows what he's supposed to do with walking on a leash. Evan, he said, well, why don't you just take the e-collar off of him? He doesn't need that. And my immediate response was, because it's a safety issue. You know, I don't know what's going to happen, and I want to make sure that if for whatever reason all of my dog's training fails, I've got a way to immediately stop his movement or get him back to me as soon as possible. Okay, because he's a dog, and even though he's my dog and he's had training literally from the day I brought him home, he's not immune to making a mistake. He's not perfect. So anyway, as luck would have it, we start walking down the trail, and just a few minutes later, a squirrel darts out in front of Evan and Boaz lets his crazy out. All of it was hanging out all over the trail, and even from 10 feet away, I was able to immediately get my dog under control for my husband, simply by saying his name and sit. Okay, because Boaz knew, because that e-collar was on, he's not working for a cookie in that moment. If he would have listened to me and sat, it wasn't because he wanted to earn the cookies that I did have for him. That's not what was going on. He wanted to avoid having that correction applied to him. Okay, because that's the only motivator in that moment that he would care about. Okay, and anyway, I went over there, got Boaz from him. We walked in a controlled manner to a distance where I knew Boaz didn't care about the squirrel anymore, and his arousal level was lower. He wasn't immediately going to turn around and dart back in the direction of the squirrel. And then we went on our merry way. But anyway, Boaz's extreme predatory behavior is why I started using e-collars in the first place. And when I say extreme, I want to break that down for you. So things like screaming like a stuck hog at a barn hunt trial. I don't know if my friend Anna Poole will be watching this video, but I'm sure there's other people who probably remember us. But anyway, if he even smelled the hay because he knew there were going to be rats, it was a terrible idea me doing that anyway. But the point is, if he even got in a situation where he thought there was a prey animal, he would scream like a stuck hog. Crazy. Pupils completely dilated. He's pulled me off of my feet, and I have flown 4 feet and injured myself. I've got the scars to prove it. He's pulled my face into a rock face because a chipmunk slid underneath one, and he pulled me straight into that rock face, and I fell down. Anyway, let me see what else that I can think of this morning. He's also ripped the paw pads off of his arms, trying to hug a tree and climb a tree to get to squirrels. And even though he's injured himself and he's bloody, he doesn't stop. He's crazy when it comes to prey animals. On a hiking trail, a deer came out and he pulled me so hard, and I'm strong, y'all. He pulled me so hard. He pulled away from me. I fell down, and then he ran away, and he was gone for like 10 minutes. I literally, like, my family members, if y'all are watching this, y'all know, if y'all were there with me that day, I got on my hands and knees and prayed to God that he would come back because I had no idea where my dog was. Just ran off. Okay, and guys, this is a dog that lives with a professional trainer. Like, my dogs aren't perfect. Okay, so anyway, when I say that his predatory drive or his genetic propensity towards prey is extreme, it's extreme. He's like a big Jack Russell on steroids, like an 80-something pound Jack Russell. That's what I have. That's what Boaz is. Okay, and so anyway, it's extreme. And he's always been like that. I don't think, this is not something that he's just learned. This is something that is deeply rooted inside of him. And I know he can't help it, but that's not the point. Okay. So anyway, for the first 6 years of his life, I did everything that I could from a reward-based training standpoint to try to fix this. I've been to countless workshops. I have paid hundreds, probably thousands of dollars, let's be honest, to pick the brains of the top trainers that I knew that were, at within a 2-hour driving distance from me. I've paid for access to deer farms where I could work at a distance where I could keep him sub-threshold and work on alternate responses and all that nerdy stuff, to try to make sure that I was crossing off all the boxes on have I tried everything from a reward-based standpoint and actually working on those things effectively and accurately to try to address this problem. And I did that. None of it mattered. Now, I will say that after doing all this reward-based training, after 6 years of doing all of that, he's got a rock-solid recall. Okay? So the things that we had done on our own and with other trainers, his recall was great. As long as a prey animal wasn't involved. Kids, bikes, dogs, whatever. It didn't really matter. His recall was great unless there was a prey animal involved. Anyway, eventually it got to the point where I hated walking him. I hated hiking with him. It wasn't enjoyable. He would pull my arm like I felt like it was going to come out of its socket, and he would pull me down, and I have injured myself because he goes nuts. When he sees a squirrel, or used to, he still will lose it if he sees it, but he's much easier to get under control now, so that we can actually go for a walk. So anyway, it wasn't enjoyable, and I was effectively punished for taking my dog for a walk. It wasn't fun anymore, so I just quit doing it. After some time of not taking him on walks and not taking him for hikes anymore, I got to the point where I realized like his quality of life is suffering because I didn't want to do what I knew what it was going to take to get this problem under control. And around the time that I realized that his quality of life was suffering because I wasn't okay with doing what was necessary to fix it, we had a new lump on him aspirated, and our veterinarians thought it was cancerous. And I was immediately filled with regret. Like, what have I done? Like, I know that there is a way that I could have at least got it under control. I'm not gonna. This is never gonna be fixed with him. Okay, but he's just to a more manageable, controllable level. But I wasn't doing it. And anyway, I had been preached to for years that doing any or using any form of correction on a dog was inhumane, and I really believed that. If any of you, like, it wouldn't surprise me if, some of you guys who listen to me or y'all see me posting things about using a pinch collar or e-collar, and all you do is go to Google and you read, the first 2 articles or whatever on those. It's no wonder that people don't, always want to work with me, because they immediately read what I was being preached at the same time through different professional organizations, that it's inhumane. You're going to kill your dog almost. You're going to cause wounds, and you might as well go to dog trainer hell for using them. Okay. So I know what a lot of you probably think about the methods that I use, because I used to think the same thing. Okay. And that's why I'm not going to shut up, and I'm not going to stop posting things about it, because that's not really the truth. There are extremes in everything in life, and there's also a middle ground, and I know what that is. I've found it. Okay, and so anyway, hold on. See, there was one of them rabbit holes. I told you I was going to try not to do that. Let me find my place. Okay, so anyway, with being preached all that stuff for years and actually believing it myself, I had to have a serious conversation with myself about what was I okay with living with. Like, if my dog dies from this, am I going to feel better knowing that I didn't use any corrections on him, and I was kind to him, and I didn't use fear or pain or all of that bull. If I didn't use that on him, would I feel better about that, or would I feel worse because I didn't correct him, and then he had to stay home, and I wasn't making memories with him, and his life was he existed, but he didn't really live? And I couldn't live with that. You know, and that's me. Some people, they feel worse if they correct their dog. They wish they hadn't. Whatever, okay? But this was my personal decision. So, anyway, let me get back here. Here I go again. All right. Because I made that decision with the help of 2 of my friends, they respectfully and discreetly showed me how to use these tools, how to get the right tools, how to use them effectively. And as a reward-based trainer who was terrified of using these things, and I had I still do have a very thorough understanding of operant conditioning and associative learning, classical conditioning, counter conditioning, all that stuff. And so I really studied my heart out because I was terrified. I was like, I have to do everything I can to make sure that I limit any kind of adverse consequences for using this tool on my dog. But I knew it was necessary. And so anyway, just to give y'all some reference about why I was so scared to use this stuff, like I used to be part of the PPG. And if you don't know what that is, that's the Pet Professional Guild. And they're anti-everything when it comes to meaningful corrections in dogs. Like if you pull up their website, like at the very top, it's like, if you are against using choke collars, pain, fear, force, you know, welcome to the club, basically. Okay, so they're against all of that. And this was one of the professional organizations that, like, I was aligned with their training philosophy. And most of my friends and my professional colleagues, they aligned with that too. Okay, and so when I started when I started using an e-collar, because I knew it was what was necessary to get to the point where I could control my dog without managing his life to the point that his quality of life was suffering, that felt like the biggest secret and the taboo of a lifetime. You know, everybody that I was affiliated with, just as friends or professionally, they were completely against what I was doing. Okay, and when I started posting about this openly, which took a lot of courage, there were still several of my friends and colleagues who reached out to me and were basically like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that you're openly posting about this kind of stuff and you need to be careful. And anyway, I am being careful and I am doing it in an educated way, and I am trying to minimize having to use those things. But at the same time, there's so much misinformation about e-collars and pinch collars. I want to put a dent in that. I don't want to keep this stuff in the dark. I don't want it to feel like taboo. I want to help you and help your dog, and you can't fix everything with a cookie. And I'm not saying e-collars or pinch collars are the solution to everything. You know, there's no one-size-fits-all, or there's no tool that is going to be the perfect solution for everything, but I don't want you to be scared or feel like you don't even have a freaking clue, or your trainer doesn't have a clue about how to use different methods that are right for your particular situation and needs. So anyway, while I'm on the topic of force-free training, before I skip down to the next stuff, let me say that being an effective dog trainer without using meaningful corrections is a very daunting task, you know, or it can be, depending on the learner's willingness to work for rewards and their motivation to do the behavior that you're trying to change or eliminate. And quite honestly, you have to be a very skilled, highly educated trainer to be able to be effective and do that. Okay, so I love, you know, the education that comes along with being a force-free trainer, a reward-based trainer. It's phenomenal. And I wish more reward-based trainers who have all this education would also open up a little bit and help you on the other side of things when the reward-based training that they're showing you how to use effectively doesn't cut the cake. So anyway, let me get back to my notes here. I told y'all this is why I need my notes. Okay, because I had that training too, like I really could fix almost anything or teach anything, but I couldn't fix this. And again, I wasn't okay with managing my dog's life to the point where I knew if he were to have died from that lump, or if he had cancer or whatever, I knew I would have regretted that for the rest of my life, not getting this under control. So, most of my continuing education is still from force-free and reward-based trainers, because I firmly believe that every trainer needs a a really solid foundation in all of that stuff, because if we can change behavior or help an animal acquire a new skill through the use of rewards, I think we should. Okay, but I do not believe that using aversives should be used as a last resort in dog training. You know, for me, waiting to use corrections until you've tried everything, which is what I did, especially when you can rightfully discern that a correction is necessary, is like trying a bunch of home remedies for a really bad cut, and you're sitting there knowing, I need to go to the doctor, I need some antibiotics or I need some stitches, but you keep trying to fix it at home. And then finally, when it becomes an oozing infection, you go to the doctor, which is what you knew you should have done in the first place, and got some antibiotics. And for me, that's the same thing with corrections. I want to nip that in the bud before it turns into an oozing infection that sucks the life and enjoyment out of your relationship with your dog. And I don't think that that's an inhumane thing to do. I'm not saying that that's the first place we should go, which maybe it is. Okay, but hopefully it's not the first thing we need to do, but I'm also not going to wait until you've tried everything, because let's be honest, who can really try everything? Okay, and who can? I don't even know if I tried everything, but I tried for 6 years, spent thousands of dollars, worked with the top trainers, and I still couldn't fix the problem with rewards. So, and this is my heart dog, y'all. Like, I've cried twice this week because he's getting so old now that when I take him for these walks, like his back legs, they'll scoot from underneath him and he drags his feet. I love this dog more than y'all could, or I'm sure some of y'all know what I'm talking about when I say a heart dog. So if there was a way that I could get Boaz to do what I needed him to do to have a good life with me, so that he can go do everything, I want to take him everywhere. I want him to have the best life that I can possibly give him. And if he would do and work with me and cooperate with me for cookies and toys and love and all that kind of stuff, and that's all I needed, that's all I would ever do. But guys, that's not reality. Okay, and anyway, I hope that if you're the kind of person who's like me, or who was like me, or if you're a trainer, if you're a new trainer and you're listening to this, if everybody in your circle is preaching to you that using pinch collars or corrections or e-collars, before you've tried everything, this mystical everything, okay, send me an email. Like, let's talk. You don't have to do anything, but let's have an open discussion. Let's try to educate ourselves instead of falling into this fear trap. Okay, there are a lot of people who use these tools incorrectly. Just do a simple Google search. Okay, I had a client this week who we are using a pinch collar with her dog because her dog could take or leave like steak. And it's not because the dog is in a state of over-arousal or because I don't know how to use distance when it comes to arousal, intensity of the stimulus, and all that kind of stuff. I know how to do all that. So don't come at me with that. Her dog could take or leave steak, chicken, salmon, whatever, cheese, all these high-value stuff. Her dog could take it or leave it. If there is a dog or whatever or not. Okay, and she got on Google because she's trying to educate herself and learn, and she got on there and she was like, asking me all these questions about the pinch collar because she's seen images of dogs with holes in their neck and all this kind of stuff. Like, guys, that is not what I'm doing. Now, I know I get lumped in with the crazy people like that, and they're out there. There are some people who do this thing, which I explained to her. It's like a helicopter. So while the dog is attached to a pinch collar or just a flat collar, the trainer will take the dog and swing it around their neck. You hear me? That's what I get lumped in with. This is not a thing that I do. Okay? It makes me sick thinking about stuff like that. Okay? I'm not causing wounds on dogs. I'll give an appropriate correction. Okay? But there are some things that, even if you use corrections, the level of correction that would be necessary to make a behavior stop isn't humane. And there are some situations where management really is your only option, or, we might need to have the discussion of behavioral euthanasia. But if there's any way that I can help you avoid that, I'm going to do it. And I hope, like I said, that I can share enough information through my Facebook page and YouTube channel that people don't feel like they need to go to hell because they correct their dog for doing something that is impeding their ability to take their dog on vacation, go for a walk, do everything that they want to do with that animal. Guys, life is too short. And I wasted way too much of my dog's life I wasted way too much of my dog's life because I was given misinformation and I cared more about what my friends thought or my colleagues thought than doing what was right by my dog. Which, unfortunately, in his situation, was a correction. So, anyway, like I said, if you see me posting a lot of stuff about e-collars or pinch collars, guys, I love dogs. I love you. I love your dogs. And I want to help you live the best life possible. And if I can do that using only rewards, okay, then that's what we'll do. But if you have a problem that is making it to the point where you can't enjoy life with your dog, I want to help you stop that, okay, before their already short life is over and they didn't have the best life possible. My dogs are chasing a chipmunk. Stand by, I'll be right back. Okay, who's got to go inside? Okay, come on. Okay, y'all go in here with Daddy. Okay. Alright. Anyway, sorry for that interruption. Real life here. Anyway, I don't want you to feel scared. I want you to know that whether you want to use e-collars or corrections in dog training, that's going to be completely up to you, but I want to be a source of education and information for you. And if you're to the point where something bad is happening and you've tried everything you can or that you know to do to change it, let me come in there and assess whether or not you've been using those methods appropriately and effectively, you know, before we get to corrections, you know, and if they're necessary, then we can use those. And I'm going to show you how to correctly use these tools. And I know that there's memes out there that say there's no proper way to abuse the dog. Like, guys, this is not abuse. Okay? It just makes me crazy, okay? There's people don't even know what abuse, like these people who are saying that, like, okay. Anyway, just know that I'm here. If you want to know more about e-collars, even if you aren't at the point where you want to use them yet, because it took me a long time, you know, before I got to the point where I knew that I needed it. And even then, I tried to use it as little as possible. But anyway, if you want more information or you want to work with someone who will not make your decisions for you, okay, please send me an email. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And if you know somebody that needs help with their dog and they're really struggling, or if you're struggling, let me know. Bye, guys.